Greetings! Welcome to Ancient Library, Tome number 7. This is a special tome, and it's about a recap of the UFO disclosure from the beginning until the end of 2023. I'm planning to do this every year, and for the first time, this is the first year I'm uploading videos, for the first time I'm gonna take in the stuff which happens before 2023. So basically I'm gonna start from the year 0. And at first, I've said it in my other videos, even in ancient times we got many things indicating extraterrestrial stuff, and we can't prove it, but there was many cave paintings, pictographs, and artworks, paintings, and then we go to the Middle Age. Like we're gonna do big jumps here because it's just gonna be a quick overview about disclosure in UFOs, about UFOs and aliens in general. And like I said, we're gonna compress the thing, and then we're gonna focus more on the recent 2023 stuff. So we got, like I mentioned in my first video, the Dogon clan and other groups of people who seem to got ancient knowledge about astrology and stuff, even way before we discovered it in modern times. And so there was some UFO stuff pre-modern times. Then we're gonna make a big jump until the year 1930 or the 1930s, because there's a lot of stuff is happening there. We got like the first official, I would say, UFO crash, like David Crush mentioned, was in Italy in the 1930s, and that's like the time where the first UFO crashes, and I think the term UFO and the first talk about aliens was created basically. The Germans potentially got the first technology around human-made, man-made UFOs. The narrative or the story is the Germans, on the rise of Hitler in the 1930s, got some weird groups within the power structure, so-called Thule Society, some like esoteric dark group, and with help from them, they just got a technical advantage, and they got many technological advanced things like the U-boat, like the submarines and stuff they used in these brutal wars. And there's many stories about they got like the first German disc, like I mentioned in the BMC, in the Billy Meyer case. The information from this contact is saying they were building the first flying disc, and it was like up to speeds of 2,000 kilometers per hour, so pretty fast aircraft. But that was said it's not able to fly in space. So there's another thing. We move to the 1930s now. There's another thing after the Second World War where Germany was defeated. The US and the other winners basically took the whole science data and the technological stuff, especially about some stuff like UFOs and flying disc. And they even took the scientists with Project Paperclip shortly after. So they got the data and the scientists. So at this point we can say the cutting edge UFO stuff is in the USA now. So in the 1940s we got many happenings. We got first nukes dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and as I said in my other videos, there's lots of UFO and extraterrestrial activity regarding to nukes and power plants and nuclear activity. Like I said, the World War ended, and Operation Paperclip, so they got the scientists and the tech, and the CIA was founded in 1951, and I'm going to talk about the 1950s here as well in like one bigger segment, because there's a lot of UFO stuff was happening there. So basically the first hype wave of UFO stuff was created in the public and in private sectors. There was the first time there was people talked about abductions, cattle mutilations happened at this time for the first time. And yeah, like I said, reverse engineering begins, and anti-gravity research, and government and private groups gathered many scientists to to make progress in this field. So I think that's the same time where the first black projects, dark projects were created, and the CIA at the same time. After the Roswell crash in 1947, and yeah, so at this time, this was basically the birth of the modern UFO field. There was many contact cases, like I said, the Billy Meyer case started around this time, 1950s as well. And it seems like if ETs are there, that's the time where they get very active. And many people say it's connected to the nukes and these nuclear technologies. I can mention as well, so as we progress, 1950s now, we go to the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's where media put out many things about UFO and aliens. Movies came out, and more contacts occurred, or like sightings like the Phoenix Lights in the 90s. And the UFO field was evolving. I think you can put it that way. And now we move up to more recent times. We're going to stop at 2017 now, because as many people know, the UFO field got propelled at this time in a very special way. So the New York Times article got released about the Tic Tac, and about military people, like from the Navy in this case, making reports and see UFOs and flying craft, and they can't describe it. So they managed to get some good authors managed to make a good article in New York Times, and it gained traction in the public, and it removed a lot of stigma from the thing. I mean, there's still stigma left, but it's removed a lot, because on such a big channel you can talk about these things. So I mean, it's only 6 years ago, and we are in a total different world right now. At this time, the term UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, got created, and later aerial got changed to anomalous. So you see, there's they're creating the language around this. So I think that's a whole. If you watch this in retrospective, you can see, it's seems like there's a way to drip disclosure to the public, and even if it's on official or unofficial channels, it seems like it's getting more traction and it's getting more active. So we're gonna look forward to the next years. I think the next few years, many things gonna happen. At this time, you can say, I mean, there were many whistleblowers before this time, but in the public, it was more accepted to be a whistleblower. And the first ones I would consider Fravor and Graves, two people in the Navy, which were operating in the Tic Tac case and in other cases. Fravor in the Tic Tac case, Graves never saw a UFO with his own eyes, but on the radar, the so-called cubes in the sphere. And that's like the first time stuff was really getting traction in the public. So then we're gonna move from 2017 to 2023. So this year, and many things happened here. The congressional hearing with the two people from the Navy, and a new one from the Geospatial Intelligence, and he was in the Navy as well, or in the Air Force as well. Got a military background, intelligence background, very smart guy. David Grush, and he was like the main whistleblower on this congressional hearing. And we got congressional hearings in the past, I think one time in the past, but it's not happened often, and many people, especially in the public and political space, got more interested into the topic. And I put a link in the description into the hearing if you want to watch it. It's from June or July, I'm not sure right now, and it's about 3 hours long. In this year as well, we got another revelation, and that's the Mexican public hearing, where they even got bodies of ETs, alleged bodies. And I want to add here, many people say it's fake, many people say it's not credible, but nobody was stepping out and investing the money and energy to actually debunk these things. But yeah, that's like one of the many stories. People are fighting about opinions on this thing. But yeah, I'm gonna put it aside here. I just want to mention it here because it was a congressional thing as well. Many people even say it was not, they were not actually swearing in, so it got no value. But I don't know, I would not take it too seriously, especially if it comes from the government. Doesn't matter from which country, about this topic. We got more cases, more contacts until this date, more sightings. We got the recently popping case of Chris Bledsoe. Very, very interesting case. He got an appearance on a few podcasts, got a own podcast. His whole family is involved. And the case is, like I said, nowhere near debunked. So with all these happenings, we got a lot of stigma removed from the thing. It's getting more accepted. And yeah, to talk about stuff happening recently and in the near future, I mean, not only in the public space, we got in the so-called, or you can say underground, we got the APEC, the propulsion thing. I will put a link in the description as well. And content creator like AlienScientists, which putting in good work and spreading information and doing actually physics and work in the lab to, yeah, build a UFO or lift secrets about the physics of UFOs. The video is almost ended now. I want to add 2 more things here. And one more thing is a little outlook on the next few years. Some people, like one guy, for example, John Ramirez, he is an intelligence guy, retired intelligence guy as well, who seems pretty knowledgeable and insightful about the UFO topic. And he was saying about, I think, 2025 or 2027, the government is going to disclose even more stuff, and it's getting more and more for each year. So yeah, I'm pretty curious what's going to happen in the next years. So I think they disclosed a lot in the last 5 years or 6 years. And I mean, if we think about the next 6 years, maybe if the same amount of stuff is happening, it's going to be a lot of information, and it's going to be, yeah, exciting times. One last thing I'm going to put in the outro, it's going to be about 5 minutes, is for me one of my favorite moments of 2023, or one of my favorite moments considering UFO talk, UFO disclosure, or UFO information and happenings. And it's from a podcast or from a channel. The channel is called Jesse Michaels. He's putting out very good videos about the topic and doing some investigation and got great guests. And he got M.Masters on, a very credible, smart guy. And he got many degrees, and he's very credible. So I was wondering about what he was saying in this video. And this is not the only story. If a guy said this many years before, 10 years ago, he was going to get labeled as a crazy guy. But I know he's a genuine, smart, serious guy, and it's just one of many revelations happening in the current time. So yeah, enjoy, and we're gonna see in 2024.
So that was kind of my motivation, and I've been driven to study physics and astronomy, and then change my major to biological anthropology to study the humanoid form associated with them, because I was led to do that. I remember the exact moment standing behind Morton Hall at Ohio University. There was this little voice in my head that said, maybe we should explore it this way. Maybe we're all experiencing that. You just don't notice it until you really start to reflect on the way everything's connected and start to put those pieces together, especially with regard to the synchronicities and who you meet and when you meet them.
Can you say at all, when you had your future human contact experience, what was communicated to you?
Well, it's interesting you asked that specifically, because it was an intervention. I didn't tell anybody this.
Yeah.
I was washing dishes at my sink. My wife's sitting on the couch. And I just thought, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to get this last book done. and just kind of slowly back away from all of these conversations. I was traveling a lot, conferences, TV shoots. I was exhausted.
From the UFO topic specifically.
UFO topic.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't like going to go blow my brains out in a closet or something. Like,
Yeah.
I was tired of this.
I've had that experience many times.
You
man.
feel
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
taxing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I didn't tell anybody. I thought about telling my wife. I thought about being, you know what, I didn't tell her. I didn't say anything to anyone. When they approached me physically, face to face, this individual, there were two individuals present. One pulls up a chair so close that his knee goes into my crotch, and I have a very strong fight or flight response, and it was very much fight. And he looks at me in the eyes and says, I can tell you're very upset about this, but I need to be this close for this to work. And all of a sudden, happiness returns. Next thing he said is what got in my head a little. He said, actually, he's not the right pronoun, they. It's all they. That's the only pronoun they ever used, we and they. There's never a sense of ego or individualism at all. In fact, I came away with this with no sense of ego, or at least a very diminished form of it. But they said, we know you've been thinking about quitting lately, and we'd really prefer you didn't do that. And I said, how could you possibly know that? I never told anybody that. I never even spoke those words out loud. It was a thought in my head. And they said, once you know who we are, you'll know how we know that. And then telepathically, I communicated future humans. And they said, so you know how we did that? I said, uh-huh. And then the conversation went in a lot of different directions. The vast majority of it was entirely telepathic. At some point, we just stopped using vocalized speech. And even though there were two individuals, all of the voices were the same voices. And this is the thing that blows my mind the most. And I remember Terry Lovelace talking about this when he met Betty Rubble. He just heard her voice in his head in the same voice. If you're not articulating something, it's not vibrating your malleus, incus, and stapes to send the signal, why does it still sound like that individual? It's mind-blowing. But the three of us are communicating telepathically over the course of, I would guess, another 10, 15 minutes. A lot of other things are exchanged. I had questions, they had questions. But the main point of it was that they wanted, if I was okay with it, they're very polite, extremely polite. If I was okay with it, they said, we'll black your eyes out and give you 3 things that will be important at a future time.
What were that?
I don't have access to it. They told me I wouldn't have access to it. They said, we need to put this information in your brain if you're okay with it. And by this point, it was very clear who they were, their abilities, hive mind consciousness, interacting in this way. I trust them and also realized that in various ways I had been interacting with them the whole time. That little voice in my head when I changed majors, a conversation they referenced right before I went to a conference at Rice University, where I thought it was just all in my mind. They referenced that conversation that we had just prior to me going to this conference. So I agreed, and that's exactly what happened. My eyes went black. I'm still staring at the same individual. In fact, by this point, it got very difficult to turn my head. I was kind of just mesmerized. I think that's the word some use. My eyes went black, and all of a sudden, I feel all of this information coming in my brain. And the other individual standing to my left occasionally would say, did you get that? Did you get that? I'm like, and I can see it coming in. I have no idea what it is.
Wow.
It's in there.
Yeah.
I can't access it. I agreed to have it put
It's like
there.
you were partitioned or something.
Yeah, maybe. But what's crazy is the reaction. I